G'day humans, Chris Stead here from Finder, and today I'm reviewing the Canon M50 Mark II. Now, as you can see from this little puppy, it's quite small. In fact, it's roughly the same size as my hand. Weighs about 387 grams. Now, recently I've been reviewing some of the higher end Canon products such as the R6 and the professional model R5, which are real serious beasts. And I've actually kind of found this really quite refreshing to actually use a camera this size. It reminds me of the old cameras I used to use when I was a kid, like little Slidos, Casios and things like that. I used to take to festivals and so forth. It is designed to be a content creator's dream. So on this, you've got a HDMI port which allows you to live stream directly through YouTube if it's plugged into your PC or your laptop. And you can also plug in a mic on this easily, and there's a whole bunch of filter modes on here that are inbuilt into the actual shooting mode, so you can actually filter directly on the camera with things like oil paintings and fisheye and stuff like that, which I'll talk a bit more in a little bit. And you also get much more instructional modes here than you get on the usual Canon cameras. So like when you're going through the shooting modes, they'll actually describe to you what those shooting modes are actually going to do when you change the settings in them, and there's much more built-in scene features and stuff like that, so you can easily get better shots and just easily share them as well. So it's got built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth, all those kind of things that you want from a camera that you're primarily using as a content creator to share either stills online or to live stream now, or shoot video of course. Now I'll go into the video a little bit more in a sec, but I'll just focus first on the actual power of this as a stills camera. Now you're looking at a 24.1 APS-C CMOS sensor in this. ISO range is about 100 to 25-600. You've got about 143 autofocus points on it. All of that kind of stuff is pretty much in line with what you would expect from the Canon range, but also in particular the Mark I. And I'll talk about the differences between the Mark I and the Mark II shortly. But it's very much on par, well, it's pretty much identical to what was in the Mark I. Now how that actually performs is really quite good, snappy and fast. I was really happy with the autofocus on this. I was really happy with the eye tracking, the face tracking. I took this down to the beach yesterday. I was taking shots of the kids running off sand dunes, switching between all the different modes, getting really good instant results on the camera, and they came off when I took them to the PC. They look just as sharp as I thought they did when I looked on the viewfinder. The viewfinder is a 3-inch touchscreen articulating as well. So that's also handy for the old selfies, you know, but also just in terms of looking at those menu options I was describing before, there's a lot more information on the screen. You can get all that information through the electric viewfinder. This is an electric viewfinder, so when you're looking through it, you are going to get an accurate representation of the actual, being a mirrorless camera, the shot at the bottom. But as a stills camera, I was really quite impressed by this, and I found it quite handy just having something that was this portable while still flexible and delivering me quality. Like, it's so much better than what you can get on a phone in the options here. But I could actually put this in my jumper pocket and just walk around, you know, which is a lot different from when I'm using the higher end Canons, which are these big giant beasts. So the portability versus quality and the flexibility it offers with an interchangeable lens can't be underestimated here. So this is the kit lens on there at the moment. It's a 15x45. It's not unreal. It's very tight in the range that it gives you. It's going to be, it does a job, but you'd probably be looking at a better lens if you really want to get a bit serious with it, but it will do the job for most people. And I do feel that a lot of people who are going to buy this camera are not going to be like me, who also have the kind of higher end Canon models and just want something that's a bit more downsized for nicking over to a friend's birthday party or nicking down to the beach for the day or stuff like that, or just the day to day. But I think for many people it's going to be their entry level into the mirrorless camera range, and therefore the lens will probably get them through okay. It's priced at about $1,200 in Australia. I have seen it for under $900 on places like Amazon. So it's definitely affordable from that perspective in terms of being a mirrorless interchangeable lens camera. Where it lets itself down is with the 4K shooting. So it can shoot 4K video, but the 4K video is nerfed annoyingly, in my opinion. You can basically when you switch to the 4K mode, it crops it in, so you're not getting that full resolution that you do if you're shooting on 1080p. On 4K, it crops in about 1.6 times. Now, if you're shooting something in the distance, that's not a big issue. But if you're trying to shoot a selfie, and let's just say that this is tailored towards content creators, if you're trying to shoot a selfie, because it basically effectively zooms in 1.6 times on the kit lens, you can't get yourself in there. So that's a problem with the 4K side of things. The 4K also uses the contrast autofocus process as opposed to the dual pixel autofocus process, which is used in the 1080p mode, and that does lower well, it's just not as reliable. It's not quite as good. So the 4K on this doesn't deliver, in my opinion, as good as it could, especially as good as it should, considering this is the Mark II and it's no different to what was on the Mark I. And I think that's an area where Canon really should have improved what was on offer. And maybe that requires a new sensor and a bit more of a price jump, but you know, it's something that they probably should have considered, considering that this is catering for content creators specifically. So if you're in the market for a 4K camera, then this probably isn't the one for you. But you know, for most people, shooting in 1080p is still more than fine, and that'll sort you out. You can get around it, of course, by getting a different wide angle lens, which will allow you to do this. If you want a selfie in 4K, that is an option around it. There's also a bit of a kerfuffle here with the live streaming. So one of the big differences, or the only significant difference between this and the M50 Mark I is that it comes with an HDMI output, a mini HDMI output. So it's clean HDMI. So that just means that it shoots out the video that you're filming without any of the data overlaid over the top of it. Now, this allows you to use it as a really good webcam. It definitely gives it added flexibility. So you can mount this, run the HDMI cable onto your PC and live stream straight out to YouTube or Twitch or wherever using a camera that's far better quality than your phone. The holdback is that you have to do that through an app like OBS or something like that. There is a Canon webcam utility app that you can use as well, which isn't as good as OBS in my opinion. And that allows you to then stream directly to YouTube. If you don't do that, YouTube thinks that you're on a mobile and it doesn't want you to live stream to YouTube from a mobile unless you've got at least 1,000 subscribers. So that's a YouTube problem more so than it is a problem with the Canon, but that's something to consider. What you can't do, and what I thought when I first read the information about this camera when it said it's set up for live streaming, I was like, oh sweet, so I can hotspot this to my phone and be out on the go somewhere and do a live stream. That's not how it works. It does need to be tethered. So that's another place where I think that the M50 Mark II could have been better than it is. However, I don't want to sound too negative about this camera because the reality is the Mark I was an excellent entry-level mirrorless camera, and Mark II is effectively the same camera with some slightly better user interface options and that HDMI port. So it's still an excellent option, and if you want a new camera, then this is definitely worth considering. It's not that much more expensive than the Mark I was when it launched. Like, I think it's $100 or so more expensive. Where Canon has potentially left itself in a hole is that because it's not massively different from the Mark I, if you're looking to save a bit of coin, you can go look for a secondhand Mark I or a refurbished Mark I, and you're still going to be getting pretty much the same quality shots and same quality video for a much less price. So that is an option available to you because both options are worth it. It is a good camera, there's no doubt about it. I had a lot of fun using this. Like I said at the top, the portability of it, the flexibility of it, and the versatility of it with the interchangeable lens can't be ignored, especially at this price. The design of it is typical of all the Canon cameras that you've probably been used to. It feels good to grip. All the features and functions we've come used to with the Canon range are here in terms of the modes, the button access, all the kind of drive modes and all that type of stuff. It's all in here, it's all there. So it's very, very feature rich in that regard. Yes, they could have done a little bit more with it, I think, to make it less iterative and a bit more evolutionary for the EOS M50 range, but still definitely a camera that you should check out if you are looking for something to just step up from that mobile phone photographs and get creatively inspired by a camera that has the filters and has all that stuff included. I had a lot of fun with it. Check it out. This is Chris Stead from Finder, signing out.